Hello everyone, let's turn off that deck list for a while. And welcome to another episode of MTG Arena Run. Today we are doing midweek Magic. We're taking a little break from the Decathlon because only one of the two events actually fired. The other one is still being fixed. So we'll do the new player decks eventually, and I really am looking forward to that, though it's a bit of a weird one. I feel like the Decathlon is really more of a luck-based series so far. I am kind of looking forward to some of the constructed events more than these other fun ones. But if it gives opportunity for a lot of newer players to take a big crack at things, I'm actually all for it. So despite some misgivings, despite the fact that it is probably going to be a huge money sink, I am actually looking. I still say it is overall a fun event. That said, let's go to something that is really fun and doesn't actually cost us anything. It's historic Pauper, and for those who have been complaining about alchemy, this is actually good for you guys because all the alchemy cards released are uncommon and up, so you won't see any of them here. And actually, I feel like this is actually the good time to revisit the classic. So you're probably wondering, when am I going to do a mono green or mono white Pauper deck? Eventually, I actually ran into a few mono green decks. My issue with them is that they can be very slow. They can be kind of slow going. They are reliant on their early ramp. Otherwise, they don't hit their good timings. White is probably more forgivable, though it is also kind of soft. That said, here we're going with historic Pauper Burn, and the reason we're going for it is because Crimson Vow gave us Kessig Flamebreather, so non-creature spells we get 1 damage to each opponent. From Amonkhet Remastered, Firebrand Archer, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, 1 damage to each opponent. And believe it or not, Thermo-Alchemist was printed as a common in Jumpstart. So you get to deal 1 damage to each opponent. This one has actually been a very solid standby. As in, you get more repeatable damage here compared to these other two, but at least we can swing with these guys, so that is a plus as well. And guess what? All our other spells are gonna be non-creature. So the usual shock, some Pillar of Flame. There's some copies of Pillar of Flame. This one's a good solid one. Unholy Heat, actually a very good addition here. It's a very good way to tangle with some of the larger creatures, in mono green, for example. So this is a very solid 4-off. And let's see. 4 copies of Trill of Possibility because you need to keep getting into cards. Everything else is pretty much burned. Royal Eruption, Skewer the Critics. Another addition from Crimson Vow, Reckless Impulse. So we have even more card draw, even though we do not have... What's that card called? Even though we don't have Light Up the Stage, because that's uncommon. So the reason I'm having Implement of Combustion here is because it gives us 2... And actually, this one is from Jumpstart Historic Horizons. I actually thought this was from Amonkhet Remastered. Anyway, we have the implement here, and this one's primarily to give us another card type for Unholy Heat, and also to draw us into cards. The other alternative, if you're so inclined, would be Omen of the Forge. It's 2 mana, so you might not want to shave off that many lands if you run that, but it does give you a chance. It does give you an ability to scry 2, though. It is a lot harder to get in the yard compared to Implement, so I'm kind of running this one at first. That said, if you feel like you're running into too many creature matchups and you do want the extra burn, feel free to substitute this with Omen of the Forge. Also, I'm running all 12 just to run it out as a test, but if you feel this is overkill, you might want to cut some of the... You probably might want to cut some of the Firebrand Archers because this is the softest one. That said, here we go. I've actually validated the deck. It's quite good against mono green if they have a very slow start. Like if their ramp is just actual ramp spells and not creatures you have to worry about burning. Slightly validated against mono black, although it's not the control version, so that is harder to say. Anyway, we have our 2-drop. We can actually just mountain into Forgotten Cave. We can actually hold up the shock also if we need to. More likely than not, I am actually going to just cycle this. Cathartic Reunion. Opponent also in the cycle plan. I did consider Cathartic because it's draw 2 discard 3, but we're not gonna have that option off all the time. I'm actually gonna lead with Thermo-Alchemist first because this one only gets going when it can when it can start tapping. So yeah, it's sad that it's probably gonna get killed, but it's still better. At least we have a Pillar and Shock here. So we have 1 mana instant, 1 mana sorcery. Opponent cycles even further. Opponent's going heavy on the cycling. They seem to have a... If it's just for Unholy Heat, it's a bit weird. Because Dragon's Rage Channeler is an uncommon. Yeah, opponent has a... Opponent looks like they're really sculpting their hand. So that is a thing. Well... We do need the mana, so we'll go for a second one. No real rush quite yet. When we cast our spells, we will have Unholy Heat live if we need 6 damage. Bloodfell Caves gains 1 life. Let's just cast this one. Our opponent might have a response. Yeah, I kind of want to hold up the shock. Yeah, let's pass. Because this is super suspicious for black-red. Like, I see the removal. And the Cathartic Reunion. Ideally, it's you're trying to discard something big. All our opponents discarded is just tons of removal. And another Cathartic Reunion, so... I have no idea what our opponent's up to. Gains 1 life again, okay. Goes for the Unholy Heat. Opponent concedes. I think our opponent was expecting us to be a creature-heavy deck. Which is kind of fine, but... How exactly are you going to win? I'm pretty sure I'm missing something. Our opponent dug 6 cards deep with the 2 Cathartic Reunions. They definitely have something, but I'm not seeing it. Well, we got... Hey, Finn the Fangbearer. I did not have this card still? Well, I do now. Well, let's keep going with this one. It does make Pauper interesting in the sense that, yeah, it's quite unpowered, but there are plenty of archetypes. Now, Burn is a common archetype. So it's kind of weird that I'm revisiting it, but heck, I will. This is keepable. We do have Trail possibility or Reckless Impulse as needed. Also, we're keeping this because we were on the play. Okay, hit our lands, so... I guess we do Reckless Impulse. That's a lot of possibility. Opponent goes Impassioned Orator, so we're not letting that survive. Which is sad. Hold on. This is a sorcery. If we cast one of these, that's an instant. Yeah, I can't let this live. Yeah, so this is the white-black life gain deck. I actually considered a version of this. It is doable. So we're gonna go Kessig Flamebreather because we have the Unholy Heat already. Ideally, I want to hit another land or Celebrant. Okay, that might be a bit of a harder time to punch through. We did hit the other land though. And the Thermo-Alchemist, so... we will have ways of sniping our opponent's payoffs. Courier Life. Okay. Unfortunately, yeah, this is a non-bow. You need to gain the life first before playing it, so that's a bit of a strange one. Okay, I really have to do a lot of math here. I know our opponent has 3 more cards. The core celebrant can go off, which is a problem. I am willing to sacrifice a Kessig Flamebreather. Yeah, we want to block that way, actually. I am willing to sacrifice one of the Flame Breeders just to punch. But now we kind of need the extra card draw now. So here we're gonna see how it pans out as a strategy. As it is, it's actually possible for us to quite lose from this position. Our opponent didn't gain that much life. They actually just gained 2 life out of all this, but we had to use up a lot of our early card draw. Opponent hits another core celebrant. The 4 toughness is an issue. It makes Heartfire a consideration. Oh, and now they got the timing right. The Courier Bat now works. So we could actually lose this one because our opponent is going to get a ton of core celebrants in sequence. And we still have to answer the Courier Bats as well. So the question is, at this point, do I... Oh, they went for the Unicorn, actually. They didn't go for the Celebrant. Oh, I skipped a turn. Yeah, at this point, it's kind of not going to matter. We lost the... We did not get hit enough advantage, so we are going to skip this one. I do like the addition of the Courier Bat. Core Celebrant... You probably want the Core Celebrant more than the early game drops. So we probably want to be on the lookout for removal X equals 4. Unfortunately, if you want to hit our opponent... I actually had collateral damage in the deck at some point because it's 1 mana 3 damage, but sacrificing a creature when we only have 12 is a stretch. Here's our... Let's see. Where is Heartfire? Heartfire would be the other alternative. And it deals to any target, so that is a good consideration. I might use... And it's an instant if I'm not mistaken, so I can use... So I could use Heartfire. I'm just a bit wary of having cards that, oh, I need to have this and a creature at the same time because this can easily be a dead card. It probably fits more if the deck was not so heavy on spells, and we do have 12 creatures. If I run into another life gain deck like this, I'm probably gonna sub out the we still need sorceries too, actually. I might... Well, we have Skewer the Critics, so I might sub some of the Royal Eruption for Heartfire in that case. We probably also want to look for a way to exile in red as well, because Reanimation is always going to be the #1 opponent of burn. So let's look for exile effects. That's generally... The Pillar of Flame counts as that, but it's kind of soft. Scorching Dragonfire, but it doesn't hit creatures. Scorch Mark doesn't hit. Puncturing Blow hits creatures, but man, that's 4 mana. Burn the Accursed does the same thing, but 5 mana. Yeah, so you can see Exile is going to be quite expensive. Reduce to Ashes, Sorcery, same thing. I would rather have Burn the Accursed if I'm doing that. I originally had the idea of a Learn Lesson package just to introduce cards like Introduction to Annihilation, but no. Also, it looks like, yeah, Exile is going to be hard to come by. You're going to actually need Relic of Progenitus to take care of that. Is it worth considering putting a Relic? For a best of 1 event, not quite. If we do have the best of 3 option for Pauper, It is a solid inclusion because some graveyard strategy is a thing. Yep. I kind of want to mulligan this, but we do have 2 lands. This is also another side effect of running all them Forgotten Caves. And Desert of the Fervent. I guess I'm gonna play this one then. So we can Forgotten Cave and Unholy Heat the... Oh, opponent is mono red 1-drops. Oh, we did hit our 2-drop. I'm concerned our opponent missed their land drop. I'm gonna play the Kessig Flamebreather because at least it gives us... We'll take the hit because this is more valuable to us alive actually. Yeah, opponent is stuck, so... We can Reckless Impulse, but I don't need to draw yet. Let's play the land also. So we'll Unholy Heat the Goblin Javelineer. Opponent being a... He'll save the Unholy Heat, I suppose. Yeah, let's take off that early spark there. Yeah, it's a lot of burn that we're not throwing to the face, but I'm also suspecting our opponent might be relying on a lot of on a lot of the early damage for something like, say, Festival Crasher. So they're doing the other version. So let's do a check. Unholy Heat at 1. Yeah. I can cycle this to get it to 2, but we can Reckless Impulse first. Hit a land, hit the shock. Now, unfortunately, if I swing, our opponent is not gonna block, so... Yeah, I feel bad for wasting it, actually. Technically, we don't have to use it right away. We can cycle it first. So that gets this to 3. Opponent does have their own Thermo-Alchemist, so we now have a race in our hands. So first things first, let's get this in the yard. Draw a card. Not on land, but another Kessig Flamebreather. I do want to cast a shock though, so shock face. Let's do a check for then probably just play the Pillar of Flame on face as well. Our opponent is probably going to look to stack a ton of spells in the Festival Crasher, so we are going to pass because we have the Unholy Heat ready. And next turn we can just Flame Breather into probably a Reckless Impulse. I might Trill of Possibility. Well, if we draw more lands, Trill Possibility. If not, we go Reckless. So opponent does the Frostbite plan. Probably should tap first. Let's see. Frostbite was also a consideration, except it's mostly just creatures. So our opponent had a different take on this. So I'll go Kessig first. I'll go Reckless Impulse because I might want to play the land after all. Our opponent did get slightly unfortunate. They did get stuck on mana for quite a while. But they did make it up with a lot of creature-based 1-drops. I guess we could have held on to it in a sense, but well, we got more value from keeping that Kessig Flamebreather alive. It's a bit of a shame that we don't have that many one. I actually considered adding Chandra's Pyro Helix. So let's verify that. I actually considered adding that card in. Oh, now I forgot to turn on the deck list. Yeah, I actually considered Chandra's after so much talk of turning it off, now turning it on again. Well, I'm off my game. I just had my booster today, so I'll use that as an excuse. So yeah, Chandra's Pyro Helix, I considered that it's 2 mana, 2 damage, but you do get to split it. Not so sure how relevant it often is because most of the time I'm having problems with hitting big creatures rather than multiple small creatures. Like a while ago in that matchup, yeah, they had a bunch of small creatures, but they also had a lot of X trees. So kind of happy with this particular take. It's there. The question mark is really whether you want artifact or enchantment as the alternative. Maybe the number of Trill of Possibilities and Reckless Impulse effects. I think 8 might be overkill. I'm just going the overkill version today. Yeah, definitely keeping this one. We will play the Forgotten Cave first because we do want Firebrand Archer on turn 2. Ideally, we can draw a little more land. Actually, another trick we can do is if we're not in such a hurry. Nah, we'll play the Firebrand Archer. I should expect a bunch of removal here, so I should expect this one to die. That's going to be a bit of a sad part. It depends, because this could be the control build, which will have a lot of removal. Let's see, do they have the removal? Also, this is the second black-red deck. This one I did not expect. It does have a ton of removal, but there's something I'm probably missing. So we'll go Reckless Impulse first, because now's a good time to draw. Because if our opponent does well, we have our backup. Yeah, the reason I played this land first is because if our opponent does have removal, I want to shock in response. Like last hurrah of Fireblade Archer. Oh, what did they discard for Madness? 2-3. Okay, bolt in response. Well, shock in response. Also, sanity check, sorcery instant. We will get the creature in the yard, so. On brand, another Firebrand Archer. So that's probably what I'm missing. That would explain the Cathartic Reunions from that previous matchup. So this is some discard into Madness. Which means we are on a really tight clock. Okay, this is probably not the Madness enabler our opponent wants. Gonna hold first because opponent's probably gonna sack for a Fiery Temper. No, Hellmongrel for 3. Okay, sure. What's the other effect? Discard the card, gets +1/+1. Okay, actually no rush at that rate. But I now need to decide because this is 2, 4, 5, 6. This is 8 points of damage. And we're at a relatively healthy life total, so I can afford to go. Opponent hits their 5th mana. Insolent Neonate. So we're gonna just take. No, opponent's not gonna swing for it. Okay. If you're not going for it, I will. So we hit the Thermo-Alchemist, but we kind of need gas now. Okay. Pillar of Flame should do it. Our opponent could have a way to gain life here, which would be a shocker. But I don't think our opponent would remember to put Tendrils of Corruption. So there we go. Yeah. So I guess 12 is the number of creatures is correct. The number of card draw effects, I'm still questioning it. It's pretty much a game of playing with the numbers right now. I have really no idea how to adjust it at this point. Also, I think, yep, not responding. There we go. Now it's responded. So we'll probably do. Technically, we're only at like less than half an hour in. I'm gonna push it a little bit more. Let's do another game or two. I do want to save some a bit because I'm planning to do the new player event later this evening. Either that or, oh yeah, also I do have to grind a bit of Pokemon Unite if I don't want to spend real money on Dragomite. It's just 2,000 gold coins away, but they made coins so hard to get. Okay, we have 2 1-drops, but we know our deck is so light on mana that I have to take a mulligan. This is probably more acceptable. So which one do I... Okay, we probably keep the Thermo-Alchemist. Let's see, Battlefield Raptor. That's semi-fine because we do have Unholy Heat and Shock as a removal option. We'll take the hit first because this could be anything. I need them to tap out first. Beautiful Night. Okay. And yep, this is my concern. We are missing land drops. I could just play the Thermo-Alchemist right away. My concern is our opponent could have... No, let's just play it right away. Our opponent could have a pump effect, so we're probably gonna let the first damage go through. This could be mono. This is definitely a one way to do a mono white build. A lot of relatively efficient creatures. Fencing Ace, that does a thing. So the concern is, does our opponent have a pump effect? They do. So we will take 3. Miss. Yeah, we need to hit our land drops. Our opponent could escape. He does have enough cards to escape this, if I'm not mistaken. My other concern is our opponent could have... Okay, Heliod's Pilgrim. So not quite there yet. So we really need to save that... we need to save that shock for as long as possible. Pilgrim into Bonds of Fate. Oh, that's a good add-on to a human. Not gonna be able to do anything if we can't hit our lands. Okay, we did hit our lands, so... We'll probably do a Firebrand Archer this time. So mono white humans is a thing. Opponent goes Sentinel's Eyes. That card is okay. So they can now stack the... Oh, fencing ace again. Okay. So, anything that... Yeah, we need to hit more burn this time because our opponent is about to do a huge stack of cards here. They can do another Sentinel's Eyes now while they have the mana, which will force us to Royal Eruption right away. We can also... Yeah, also because if our opponent stacks this and then these, we're not going to be able to beat that. Our best bet is to take out the fencing ace now. Swing with the Firebrand Archer. See if we can get a trade. Okay, now our opponent needs to have a creature in addition to their auras. Well, okay, the good news is Bonds of Fate doesn't do it. Sentinel's Eyes does become annoying, but our plan has never been about attacking anyway. Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't been drawing our spells. So we're gonna need to do the Thermo-Alchemist first because we know we're never gonna be able to attack at this point. I would like to see our opponent accidentally put Bonds of Fate on the Battlefield Raptor. No, they're gonna do Sentinel's Eyes first. Sure. So, do they have a lifelink enchantment? That's a question. Sentinel's Eyes again. So, yeah, the race is on. Please put the Bonds of Fate on Battlefield Raptor. Okay, Reckless Impulse is good, so... It's tempting to unload all of these guys first, but we kind of need more action soon, so... Another Reckless Impulse and a Trail of Possibility. Blech. So I might cast Reckless Impulse for the land, then Trail of Possibility to draw into something. Dawnbringer Cleric, gain some life, I assume. Exile card in the graveyard doesn't really do anything. This is definitely the card I would add if you do a life gain style deck because you kind of have to worry about the mono black enchantment deck. Yeah, so we are racing. Now this is pod racing. We did hit our mana, but we will do Reckless Impulse first. Hold on. Full control. Yeah, let's not... Hit the land, hit the Kessig Flamebreather, which we can cast later because we're about to lose the Trail of Possibility. I actually will discard the Firebrand Archer. I don't want to take the risk that it's gonna miss it, so... Okay, so we did play the land already, so this one's gonna take a while. We got our opponent down, so it's really about surviving long enough. If our opponent has enough Priest of Ancient Lore, that just brings him up to 6. I can see Cartouche of Solidarity. That's a good fit. It's... Okay, now we're drawing too many lands, but... Yeah, I think our opponent should see the writing on the wall. There you go. We managed to survive that version of Mono White. Yeah, we had to remove creatures as needed. I guess it's an argument for like having some of the cheaper spells. But the problem is once the aura start to get going, you're gonna have to ignore it. Which is why I kind of limited my main creature removal to Unholy Heats. That's pretty much gonna be it. I don't think I want to add any more excess creature removal. Any other burn spell has to hit face. Unholy Heat, I'm willing to make an exception because it has the potential for 6 damage for 1 mana, which is very big. Okay, so we have Shock as a hold up here. Depends what our opponent's doing. Lunar Veteran, so I guess we don't Shock because we're better off using Pillar Flame here. We're probably gonna have to Reckless Impulse next turn if we don't hit anything good. Impassioned Orator. Yeah, we're Reckless Impulsing next turn. Well, we did hit a land. Let's see. Reckless Impulse. Pillar into Desert. Sure, we'll play the Desert out. So if our opponent... Okay, there's the black element, so... Lunar Veteran. Though, I think they can see this one coming. So Lunar Veteran not exactly getting... I'm gonna cycle this first. Okay, Firebrand Archer in play. We just need... Firebrand Archer dice, that saves it. So we just need to have a creature in the yard. So, sadly, Trill of Possibility, not quite gonna do it. Although I can skewer Shock. It's a bit of a feel bad, but I kind of have to do it. Yeah, having to spend this many spells just to keep the board clear of life gain is really, really painful. Also means I don't get to cast Thermo-Alchemist in time. Opponent has another Lunar Veteran, but this time I won't be able... I'm down to 1 Pillar of Flame, so... Well, we do have Shocks for days. I'm actually gonna pass. I can also swing at the Firebrand Archer just to make sure we have Unholy Heat ready. Let's see if our opponent's willing to trade. Usually they're not because they need that life gain. They're dependent on that life gain. So there's a Celestial Unicorn. You can... I kind of prefer the black payoffs over the white ones, though this is a good way to keep the deck mono white for the most part. Okay. I guess we're gonna have to waste it. That's sad. Because I'm not so sure I was... Well, we did hit Skewer the Critics. We're not gonna throw this quite yet because we have we have potential for cards like these to worry about. So opponent has a Luminous Phantom. Let's draw a card. Gosh. Okay, we do have the Unholy Heat. Yeah, oh no, this is only instant and sorcery, so it would not have mattered. Okay, let's do some math. 7, 4, 3, Village right, sack it, but it doesn't matter. That's not what I was going for. Whew, yeah. Yeah, so we just have to be very persistent against the life gain deck. Yeah, I'm liking Implements of Combustion. If I had to use Omen of the Forge in that case, wow, we would not get the value that soon. Well, in that particular case, we did not need the Delirium Unholy Heat, but what if you did? So there's my justification for that. And yeah, I guess we can call this episode. We do have a solid beater. Do acknowledge that there are going to be weak matchups. I did not run into the mono black enchantment matchup, the one with the 4-mana enchantments that drain life. It's basically black or blue black. It's all about control. That's usually the normal bane of historic Pauper. I'm surprised I did not see that this time. Life gain, if it does get going, is an issue as well. I did concede against one life gain deck earlier. Let's see. Mono green, if it has enough mid range, can also be an issue because a lot of our burn is actually very light. The mono white could also have been an issue, especially when it got the auras going. It's just a good thing that we were able to remove a lot of their earlier threats early on, and still be able to deal damage over time. So we were able to slow down our opponents somewhat that way. So the key to this deck is really stick one of the 2-drops as early as possible and try to keep control of the board as clean as possible. That said, that's going to be it for this episode of the Magic Arena Run. If you like what you saw, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, turn on notifications, and whatnot. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys again next time. Take care, God bless, stay safe wherever you are. Have a great rest of the year, everyone. And have a great new year as well.